What's up, gamers? It's your boy, JKon. Welcome to another episode of Pros and Cons. Today, we'll be talking about Demon Slayer Swordsmith Village Arc. Please be warned, spoilers ahead. Now let's get into it. Starting out with the pros, the first one that I want to talk about is the animation. Ufotable has done it again, giving us another beautiful anime to watch. Genuinely, if you don't like cartoons, but you like animation as a medium, watch Demon Slayer. If you don't like anime, but you like animation, watch Demon Slayer. Now granted, Demon Slayer isn't the most complex plot in the world, and it's not the greatest story in the world, but the animation, man, is just so beautiful that alone is worth watching, in my opinion. This season was no exception, especially with the Hashiras and their breathing techniques. We get to meet the Love and the Mist Hashiras in this season, and their introductions are just so comedic and it tells so much about their personality. For example, we meet the Love Hashira, Kanroji, in the hot springs. And who wouldn't want a big booba lady in the hot spring? You know what I mean? And as you can see, she's looking for love, and that's kind of her main motivation. And that's a pretty strong motivation that really drives her character, but we'll get into her more later. The other introduction for the Mist Hashira, Muichiro, was also very good. It shows him berating a young child who is said to be the protector and caretaker of a broken training doll. This training doll here was modeled after one of the legendary swordsmen from 500 years ago who had the Hanafuda earrings that Tanjiro now wears. So as you can see from seeing his introduction and how he is so dead set on becoming the best swordsman in the world, you can really see his drive and motivation early, and kind of a lot of his cold, unfeeling personality. But again, we'll get into him more later. Speaking of the training dummy with the Hanafuda earrings, I love how we got a little bit more backstory of the swordsman that it's based off of. Now, I have read the manga, so I know exactly how important this swordsman is, but being able to see a little bit of the backstory, especially earlier on in the season, and seeing how he was able to connect and pass down his breathing style to Tanjiro's family, as well as how the Hanafuda earrings ended up with Tanjiro. And I just love that kind of development, especially for a character that has like an air of mystery around them. So I'm definitely a fan that they got to give him a little bit of a spotlight here. Continuing on with the pros, I want to talk about Muichiro and why I think he was the GOAT of the season and really stole the show. Or first things first, his animations were the best by far in the season. I especially loved when he was able to summon his mist and how it just kind of billowed around him, and he used it as a smoke cloud of cover, especially when he was going in for a fight. I just love that. It gave me a lot of Smoke Criminal vibes, very Stewie 2K-esque, you know what I'm saying? So I just thought his animations were just super fluid and super nice. A variation of water and smoke really kind of reminds me of Smoker a little bit from One Piece, and I just always love how wind and air kind of flows in animation. So I think them being able to combine it with mist, and it's kind of a hybrid between what we've seen so far with Tanjiro and Giyu with his own spin, as it is more of a smoke effect. It's just really cool. I don't know. I'm just a fan of it. I thought he had great animations. What I also really loved about Muichiro is that he had such a great backstory. I know I touched on it a little bit at the beginning of the video, but as we go more in depth here, I just think it was so interesting to see how trauma can change and lock up a person's personality. When we get into the flashback of Muichiro, we get to see him as a child. He is the younger brother. Albeit a twin, he is still the younger brother, and he is seen as the more optimistic, positive, and really happy one. When they were approached as children to possibly becoming demon slayers, Muichiro jumped on the idea because he was like, this is my calling. I want to save people, I want to help people, I want to make a difference in the world. And that's where he started as a child. But his elder brother, the twin, he was much more cynical. Very akin to how Muichiro's personality was when we first meet him in the story. He said that becoming a demon slayer wouldn't change anything, it wouldn't help anybody, just a complete negative Nancy. Unfortunately, they were both attacked by a demon, and Muichiro's elder brother was lost in that battle. And one of the things that he told Muichiro, which was very heartbreaking, was that the Mu in his name meant useless, which is not the case at all. And we'll get into his name in a second. That traumatic event, as well as his brother passing away, made him lose his memories and lock up a lot of those warm and loving emotions inside himself, and he's no longer able to access it, which explains why his personality is the way it is now. And when you look back and see his initial introduction with the young boy at the Swordsmith Village, you can understand his drive is not intent on being mean. It's just he doesn't know how to express another emotion. But that's so key to his character development, which is something that I love throughout the season because you can visually see him change throughout the season. He goes on to focusing from being the most efficient and the best swordsman to saving only important people to stopping and ending up being the savior of that young boy that took care of the training doll. And that is just character development and character growth. And who doesn't love that shit? Because you know I do. Going on to his name. Now, this is something that I didn't really pay too much attention to at first, but it was actually pointed out to me by my uncle. If you didn't know, I'm Chinese American, so a lot of my family members speak Mandarin. So my uncle was watching the season with Chinese subtitles, and the character for Mu is actually Wu in Chinese, short for Wu Xian, which means infinite. And my uncle was raving over the fact that he loved Muichiro as a character so much because of that Mu/Wu, meaning of infinite. And as someone who has that phrase tattooed on me, right here, Wu Xian, infinite. I felt a lot of connection to the character itself because I truly believe that potential is limitless as long as you don't lock yourself down. So, here we ball. And the last pro that I have for Muichiro is that I just love how nonchalant he is. When he was in battle against Upper Moon 5, Upper Moon 5 just kept prodding him and just trying to get a reaction out of him, just beating him up and like... And Muichiro just like... Gave me a lot of those vibes of Thanos and Scarlet Witch where she's like, "You took everything from me." And Thanos is like, "I don't even know who you are." Very similar vibes in that sense right there, but I thought it was just really funny and I enjoyed his nonchalance. This was a nice little character break from the intensity of it all. Anyways, moving on to the next character that I want to talk about is Tanjiro and how he is literally the tankiest motherfucker in the world. This dude gets his ass beat, thrown across the room, slammed against the walls, thrown across the valley by a giant concussive fan blast. His eardrums are burst and shattered from that fan, and he gets his foot crushed by a gravitational force akin to a Naruto effect. And yet, he is still running and schmoving and grooving, and this motherfucker don't stop. He keeps going and going and going, and I gotta respect it, man. You know, that hustle is insane, but like, he should be dead. Like, no human should like be able to tank that much shit, but he does because, you know, main character. But like, goddamn, this boy tanks a lot of shit. Big ups. Another character that I really enjoyed within the story was Haganazuka, who, if you didn't know, he is Tanjiro's sword maker. He has a little bit of beef with Tanjiro because Tanjiro keeps breaking the swords that he makes. So Haganazuka took it upon himself to craft the greatest sword ever so that he will not be disappointed in his craft and Tanjiro can't break it. And this leads him to the ultimate Sigma grind set. This homeboy, let me tell you, he is in his shed grinding away at this sword to make it absolutely perfect and sharp. And he will not stop. When the battle begins, he's still in his hut. When his hut gets destroyed, he's still at the grindstone going. He's going like... non-stop. He literally does not stop. He's getting his ass beat, whipped across the back, his eye gets slashed, and yet he does not stop. What a true Sigma grind set, and you gotta give respect to him. 07 in chat for the brother. The next character that I really enjoyed from this season was Genya. I thought he had a great backstory because it really touched on some important topics within life of trauma and family drama. And that's something that not a lot of these shows necessarily talk about all the time. You didn't know, Genya is the younger brother of the Wind Hashira, and they don't really talk. And you get a little bit of backstory as to why they don't talk. Well, unfortunately for them, their mother turned into a demon, and his older brother had to kill their mom in order to save his younger brother and the rest of their siblings. Genya, unfortunately, put all the blame on his brother and told him that he was a bad brother for killing their mom, and they haven't spoken since. But Genya still uses that as motivation to become the best demon slayer that he can so that he can continue to compete with his brother and earn his respect. And you know, that's one hell of a motivation, and I gotta respect that boy for doing it. I really enjoyed Genya as a character. I think the fact that he has a gun is just so funny to me. I don't know. It reminds me as like when you're a kid and you're in rock, paper, scissors, and you're like, rock, paper, scissors, gun! And your opponent just was like, what the hell, bro? That's rock, paper, scissors, bro. Like, you can't bring a gun to rock, paper, scissors, bro. But like, you know, you totally can. Like, Genya does it, so fuck it. And the last point that I have about Genya that I really enjoyed, if I was talking about how tanky Tanjiro is, Genya is another level. I mean, this man gets blasted, slashed, cut in half. The worst thing is that he actually ended up like this, but with holes in him, looking like Swiss cheese out here, bro. And he just keeps going. An absolute tank, an absolute Chad, just keeps grinding. Doesn't matter if he's cut in half, because he'll regenerate and come back. What a fucking Chad, bro. Anyways, I'm a big fan of Genya. I thought he was a cool character, and he definitely gives Tanjiro a run for his money to see who is tankier. Alright, enough about the good guys. Let's go on to another point that I think is really good. I actually really liked Upper 4 Hantangu's power because I thought it was super cool. The fact that he was able to split from his main body into different emotions, and each of those emotions carried their own unique weapons and powers, was really sick to me. I liked how Sadness had this super spear, Anger was the lightning channeler, and then they had the big fan. I don't know. I just thought having multiple powers split amongst different personalities seems pretty interesting to me. I don't know why. I just like it. And what's even cooler about that is the fact that they combined like a Megazord and became the Super Taiko drummer. And I really think that's when I thought that Hantengu was going to be a really cool villain, because this guy is just beating his Taiko drum, and he's just summoning lightning. He's doing a combination of all the emotions powers, just throwing them at Tanjiro. That's how he got his foot crushed and slapped around. It's just really cool. And the fact that they were able to summon wooden dragons gave me that Hashirama vibe from Naruto. And, you know, wood bending's always really cool. So I thought Hantengu as a villain, his power was really unique, and I enjoyed seeing it on screen. Pretty awesome. And the final pro that I have for this season is that I love the Love Hashira's sword and the fact that it's basically like a whip, because the way they animated her movements was so ballet-like and gave me ribbon dancing vibes that it was just so beautiful to see a weapon crafted for them. I think that's one of the cool things about Demon Slayer that I personally really enjoy, is that a lot of the Hashiras have unique weapons to their kits, and it's unique to their personality. And I'm always a fan of custom loadouts. If you play TF2, you definitely know. Anyways, I think her animations were just really beautifully done, and it just looked great. And I honestly wish we had a little bit more of that. Going into the cons, the first one that I had is that they dropped the Castella cake. When I watched this for the first time and saw that nice yellow sponge cake fall off the plate, my heart shattered. I was so distraught. Okay, side tangent here. If I were to have a superpower, I would definitely want time control or time manipulation. Because obviously, if you can freeze time, you're basically immortal and you can control everything. You're bored, you can speed up time, you can freeze time. Time is a concept and you get to have control of it. I think that is one of the greatest superpowers that you could possibly have. Now, if I was not allowed that superpower and I had to choose another one, I would love to be able to take whatever's on a screen in front of me and bring it in real life, relating only specifically to food. And the reason why I talk about this is because, have you seen anime food? Like, there are so many good anime foods out there. Like, there's literally Shokugeki no Soma, an entire show dedicated to food. Like, how can you not love that? If I saw that Castella cake, I would have yoinked that out of midair and eaten that shit so it wouldn't go wasted on the bed. That's how much I think this power would be lit. Anyways, let's go back to our cons that we were talking about. I alluded to this earlier, talking about the Love Hashira's sword and her moves and her animation. Unfortunately, we were not able to see a lot of her in action. If you've watched the season, you would know that Tanjiro ends up being the one to take down Upper 4. And of course, Muichiro takes care of Upper 5. And although the Love Hashira did get a little bit of action, she was tasked with taking care of the Megazord of emotions and dealing with the wooden dragon. So although she did have great animations, it really wasn't shown too much throughout the show, and she kind of took more of a backseat this season comparatively to Muichiro, which is a little bit unfortunate. The next con that I had was that I really hated Upper 4's regular personality. I'm the type of person that does not enjoy being around people who cannot take accountability for their own mistakes or their own flaws, and Upper 4 is smack dab right there.
I'm a blind kind, weak, frail man. I can't hurt people. I can't kill people.
You, dude. Go f yourself. That's not what I'm about. I hate that kind of personality. Just like own up to your shit that you're a murderer and don't be a weenie about it. You know what I'm saying? That's just me though. I'm a kind of person who just does not enjoy non-accountability. And my last con that I have was Upper Moon 5 Gyoko was pretty lame as a villain comparatively to Upper 4. At least Upper 4 was able to have a lot of scenes with their 4 emotions and the Mechazord. Unfortunately for Upper 5, I felt like their effect really wasn't too impactful. Yes, he made the art installation of the swordsmiths, and I thought that was pretty effed up. I'm not a big fan of that, but to be honest, as a villain, he really did not pose that much of a threat in comparison, and I thought Muichiro just kind of clapped his cheeks. Upper Moon 6 from the entertainment arc was definitely way cooler as a villain, and I definitely prefer them. And score at the end of the day, I would give this a solid 7.5 out of 10. Muichiro's name is badass, mine is a news alert. And that's the video. I hope you enjoyed. Let me know down below what you think of Demon Slayer the Swordsmith Village Arc. I'm curious to know your thoughts on the villains and the Hashiras. And while you're down there, please consider giving this video a like and subscribe if you think I deserve it. Thanks for watching, and until next time, stay hydrated. Peace.